Hello and welcome to Mangum News. I'm your host Elijah Mangum. This week we'll be discussing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the Trump rape case, a CNN town hall with former President Donald J. Trump, Title 42 lifting, my weekly weather report, and my exclusive interview with registered dietitian and Supertalk Mississippi radio host Rebecca Turner. Without further ado, let's begin. Outside of Spider-Man No Way Home, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is the best MCU film since Avengers Endgame. Volume 3 is full of great emotional moments, heart, humor, another awesome soundtrack, and visually stunning action sequences. The only major critique I would have would be certain elements like Will Poulter's Adam Warlock seemed forced after being set up in Volume 2. Overall, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Former President Donald J. Trump was found guilty of sexually abusing and defaming author E. Jean Carroll in a lawsuit on Tuesday.
I said it to Joe Tacopina yesterday. He came over to congratulate me, and he put out his hand, and I said, he did it, and you know it.
The former president was ordered to pay Carroll $5 million in damages. Trump was also accused of rape at the Berghoff Goodman department store in New York City in the 1990s. This charge was dropped. Video of Trump's deposition was released. Trump mistaken Carroll in a photo for his second wife Marla Maples, despite stating Carroll was not his type.
I don't even know who the woman. Let's see. I don't know who. It's Marla.
You're saying Marla's in this photo?
That's Marla. Yeah, that's my wife.
Trump, who is currently the GOP frontrunner in the 2024 presidential election, held a town hall on CNN Wednesday night. Trump and moderator Caitlin Collins discussed a number of issues, including the 2020 election and January 6th. Trump doubled down on claims on voter fraud and defending rioters at the Capitol.
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one because a couple of them probably they got out of control. I would say it will be a large portion of them. You know, they were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable and it was a beautiful day.
Trump did not give an answer on who he supports in the ongoing Russian-Ukrainian war.
I want everybody to stop dying.
He also commented on the verdict in the E. Jean Carroll case, the possibility of a federal abortion ban, and raising the debt ceiling.
I say to the Republicans out there, if they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do a default.
As Title 42 lifted on Friday, thousands of migrants crossed the United States southern border. NBC News' Julia Ainsley has the story.
By 7 a.m., we arrive at the Opportunity Center, where families are asleep on the floor.
All of a sudden, we're full.
It's one of 3 shelters run by John Martin, offering migrant families food, housing, a place to take a shower.
We're actually over capacity at this point.
Could there be some people sleeping outside the shelters?
I hope not, but that possibility always exists.
It's about 10 o'clock here inside the shelter, and John says he expects more families to be coming later today. You can see over here, many of them are still sleeping with their belongings pushed against the wall. Families like Robert, Yascari, and their 4-year-old son, Jason, from Venezuela. They tell us they've been here for 8 days. You've been sleeping on this floor for 8 days? They say they are desperate. Back home, they couldn't afford food for their family. So many migrants fleeing political upheaval, gang violence, or even droughts, looking for a new life in the U.S. like Jonathan, who also came from Venezuela. Are you happy that you made it to the United States?
Sí, bastante, porque
Yes, it was a huge sacrifice, crossing jungles, many countries. It wasn't easy, he tells us. Meanwhile, by 1 p.m., Martin arrives at another of his shelters.
Currently, we simply have no space inside the building.
Nearby, we meet El Paso residents who say it's just too much, worried their city is overwhelmed.
You see them all in the sidewalks everywhere, all around it, all the block. And it's unsafe for them, it's unsafe for the people.
Tonight, Martin is getting ready. He's heard Border Patrol may drop off more migrants soon. A Border Patrol official tells us in El Paso and other border cities, they'll begin releasing more migrants into the U.S. starting tonight.
This week, the current trend of daily rain chances continues with a 20% chance Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, 40% chance on Tuesday and Saturday, and a 50% chance on Wednesday. Temperatures will begin with 2023 highs of 90 degrees on Monday and as low as 60 degrees on Saturday. First thing is, can you describe how you got into expanding into media and your motivations for doing so?
So it was definitely kind of by happenstance. So I graduated from Southern Miss with a degree in nutrition and dietetics. So by trade, I am a registered dietitian. I got my first taste of media while working as the wellness dietitian for Forest General Hospital there in Hattiesburg. It was my first job out of school. And every so often I would need to go to the news there at the station and talk about either upcoming events that we were having or whatever maybe the wellness, topic of the month was, whether it's breast cancer awareness in October or heart healthy month in February, similar to what I do now on WLBT, but a lot less involved in terms of recipes and cooking. And I enjoyed it. But it would have been many years after that, in my career where I got the opportunity to take a job with then was the Southeast Dairy Association. Now it's the Dairy Alliance. And I had the great privilege of working on behalf of our dairy farm families here in Mississippi as their spokesperson. And that's the first time I was hired for print, TV, and radio, as well as educating other healthcare providers or professionals about the health benefits of the 3 servings of dairy a day. And so through that job, they trained me in proper media. That's what they would do. They would send me out or send us out on what you call media tours, which I covered Mississippi and Louisiana. So every year we took a 2-week span and we were on the road staying in small hotels and hitting up radio stations and TV stations and all with a coordinated message and sort of effort and recipes. And it was a whole lot of fun. And I did that for almost 5 years. And then I went to high school with a guy who worked for Supertalk. In fact, I came on Supertalk, one of my first radio interviews, maybe my second, because my first one was also in Hattiesburg, but my second one was with Paul Gallo, who hosts the Gallo Show here at Supertalk in the mornings from 6 to 9. And it was just on my regular sort of media tour list. And I never knew that a couple years later I would be working for the company. But at that time, Supertalk was interested in having a health focused show. The name of it was Mission Nutrition. It was a local show. It aired on Supertalk Jackson 97.3. So it was just the 9 a.m. show on Thursdays and Fridays. And it was my first opportunity to sort of host, not be the interviewer, not to be the interviewee, to be the interviewer. And my first sort of opportunity to expand into, crafting a longer message, being in control of sort of the hour. And I enjoyed it. And then I did that for maybe like a year or so, balancing both the dairy industry and that. And it was just a time in my life. I had other dreams and wants as a dietitian or in my own personal professional career. And so I stepped away from the Dairy Council, and then the opportunity opened up here at Supertalk. Their 2 p.m. hour was coming open, and they had the idea of giving me a network show. Network means that it's in all 82 counties. It's a statewide show. but it wasn't going to be nutrition focused. It was going to be good things, which it is now, focused on everything Super Talk doesn't talk about already, which we do not talk about politics and we do not talk about sports on Good Things. We get to highlight all the great people, places, things, or fun topics that are sort of happening in and around our state. And so that was by far the most challenging thing I've ever done professionally, because I was already really good and skilled at talking about health and nutrition. But then branching those skills out to talk about other things was a huge learning curve for me. But I fell in love with it and I enjoy it. Meanwhile, during that, probably, I guess now almost 10 years ago, no, maybe not 10, 7 or 8 years ago, I was approached by Mississippi Public Broadcasting. And they had a show called, or they still have a show called Fit to Eat. It's with Chef Rob Stinson. He's from the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And it's a healthy cooking show. And they wanted to add a component to it of nutrition, health and nutrition. So I came on as his dietitian for the show to do a nutrition segment in each episode. So I've been doing that. Gosh, I'm going to lie, but it's probably 7 or 8 seasons now. And so it also got picked up for the Create channel. So it's nationally syndicated. I don't know if it still is, but it was for a season. But the way that works is we shoot for 2 weeks out of the year, and then the episodes are sort of done. So it's not something I do sort of on a daily basis. But I've also written for Clarion Ledger. And then I guess I had the column in the Clarion Ledger for almost 5 years before they went through their reconstruction of how they needed freelance writers, as a lot of folks transitioned out from that. And I've just kept the love of share. And that's when I got the opportunity to also look at other publications. So I've written for national publications like Home Life magazine, and bringing my faith and my profession sort of together. And yeah, so I know it's interesting. I don't know if I really answered your question, but my career is a bunch of let's try it, and then not putting myself in a box, and then not being afraid of being told no. And so 90% of the things that I ended up with was me reaching out and saying, hey, would you be interested in having a dietitian do X, Y, and Z in terms of columns or an article placement? And then what's the worst thing they can say is no, but then more often than not, I got a yes. And so it opened doors for me in sort of other areas. So I've definitely had a non-traditional career in media. I don't know if it's really a career, it's kind of a part-time career, but it's been, I've enjoyed it. It's been interesting. So I don't know if I really answered your question, but that's kind of the genesis of how I got to where I am now.
What was I going to say? Oh, did you start out wanting to be a dietitian first, and then that sprung board into your media career?
Yes. So I fell in love with the field of dietetics as a sophomore at the University of Southern Miss. I still to this day am fascinated with the idea that to some extent we can help control or navigate our health and wellness by the foods and beverages that we choose or not choose to take in. And I find that incredibly empowering and fascinating too, that we're created that way. And so I have always had a love for the field of dietetics and health and wellness. It just, and I never dreamed in a million years that I'd have a career of any kind in media. I figured I'd work in a clinic until, my retiring days, and that would be fine. But again, just not putting myself in a box and being open to whatever opportunities came my way have given me a great smorgasbord of opportunities in terms of a professional career.
Well, and looking at that, can you tell us, you kind of laid out right then, your fascination and some of your motivations in that. Can you tell us how your dietitian career has kind of evolved over until now?
So I have had an interesting, even dietetics career. It has not been traditional by any stretch of the imagination. So I started out as a wellness dietitian there at Forest General, which we didn't have patients, we had clients. We were the place where all of the employees from Forest General would come and it was their benefit package to their insurance, which I loved because I got to see everybody from those that did the laundry and cleaned the floors to your ER surgeons and everybody sort of in between. And then from there, our family moved, my husband and I moved back to the Jackson area, and I got the opportunity to work at the Partnership for a Healthy Mississippi, where I was the obesity prevention coordinator for the state. And I got to see health from a different perspective. I got to see it from a diversity perspective, a disparity perspective. I got a better understanding of how you can be overweight yet underfed. I understood access to what it meant to be low access to fruits and vegetables, or even just sort of grocery stores, how that plays into our health crisis that we have here in Mississippi. It was extremely eye-opening. Through that job is where I got connected to the dairy industry, which provides a lot of grants for schools and community organizations to help combat certain things, like food insecurity and other issues. And that's where that door opened for me to be able to go over from trying to ask for money to being able to give money or give resources, and then also open me up into being a spokesperson. So I have seen health and wellness here in Mississippi from a lot of different angles. And so now I have the opportunity to come back to kind of where I started, and working in a clinic part-time in the mornings for UMC, the Lifestyle Medicine Clinic. And we get to take people who have or are at risk for chronic diseases and help try to prevent or intervene those with lifestyle factors: food, nutrition, sleep, meditation, therapies, all of that kind of stuff. So it's extremely rewarding as well, as in that way.
So you're now back down to you're back doing part-time clinical work.
Yep. So I'm a dietitian by day and a radio host by afternoon. So yeah, I definitely wear multiple hats, but it's fun. It's never boring.
And you said you wear many hats, and now we're tying it back into Mother's Day. How do these many hats affect your role as a mother?
Well, I always choose my role as a mother first. So one of the reasons I have the multiple hats is because I have been able, by the grace of God and just good fortune, to piecemeal my career together with them in mind. So making sure that I'm able to be there for afternoon activities, or having the flexibility to take off for whatever it is that they may do or may need. And so that is very intentional. Not every mother has that opportunity or privilege, but I have really worked hard to make sure that I chose jobs with them in mind. In fact, one of the reasons I stepped away and chose radio to begin with was the flexibility. Granted, you have to be there when the mic turns red, but there is some flexibility in being able to be a present parent, and that's very important, sort of to me. But also, I feel like the work that I do gives back to the greater piece of it all, in terms of creating a world that I want my kids to live in. So I have 2 young daughters, and I want them to grow up in a world that women are taught to take care of themselves, not to perfect themselves, not to have unrealistic expectations for their body, and to know that they're worth more than that. And I feel like I do that through my nutrition work. But then also I want them to be reminded that the world is good, and that there's good stories to be told, that our state's got its issues, but there's good people on the ground doing great things. And it's not all doomsday politics and all the things. And so I feel like I show that and offer that with what I do through good things in the radio. So I also, think about my career and my choices as, helping to mold a world that I hope that they get to grow up in. And granted, I'm just a little piece of that puzzle. I'm not one that can change the world, but I can at least show them that, that it's the good is worth fighting for, whether it's good health or whether it's good news, or that positive things matter.
I would like to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much for all you do. That's all we have for this week. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all next week. Happy Mother's Day!